thought long and hard about doing this recording, and I really was unsure about stepping out of my place as a woman in Israel. So I wanted to bring these things up to discuss where we're at now. I've been patient. I covered in a couple of my previous videos Ecclesiastes 7 and 7, which is a main talking point for our brothers. Surely oppression maketh the wise man mad, and the gift destroyeth the heart. And that scripture is used to justify the anger which they project. And of course, we're emotional beings, so we feel that emotion just like the Most High feels that emotion. But that emotion isn't to dictate our actions, because depending on what books you're reading, I think we're all aware of how we ended up in this position. And those who were utilized to execute the punishment, their punishment is up to the Most High. We're in no position to be overly angry toward them. On a side note, they were almost more obedient to the Most High than we were, because at least they did what they were made to do. But in reference to Ecclesiastes 7:7, I also wanted to bring out Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 10, verse 18. And it states, "Pride was not made for men, nor furious anger for them that are born of woman." Verse 19 says, "They that fear the Most High are a sure seed, and they that love him an honorable plant. They that regard not the law are a dishonorable seed. They that transgress the commandments are a deceivable seed." That scripture alone says a lot. But the main point of this video is to say, and I'm going to step outside of my place. I am a woman. I have my womanly traits. But I may use a couple of swear words. I'm going to try really hard not to. But I may use a couple, because this is a very passionate video. I will try to think before each word comes out and pray for the Spirit to stop me from saying anything too inappropriate. But before we get into, before we get into the shamefacedness of a woman and the appropriate behavior of a woman, I am going to justify my position, because I do expect and hope that some lessons are taken from what I say. I'm not saying these things just to speak. Previous videos were really just exhortations to the people, just to kind of help keep everybody's mind focused. But this one, I'm hoping that something will be taken from it. And I'm going to read Ecclesiasticus, still in the Apocrypha, chapter 41. When you go to chapter 41, it covers shamefacedness. And I'm going to start with verse 14. "My children, keep discipline and peace, for wisdom that is hid and a treasure that is not seen, what profit is in them both? A man that hideth his foolishness is better than a man that hideth his wisdom. Therefore be shamefaced according to my word, for it is not good to retain all shamefacedness, neither is it altogether approved in everything." That was verse 14 through 16 in Ecclesiasticus 41. So you're supposed to be shamefaced according to the word. So there's a time and a place for shamefacedness. I'm going to jump now to chapter 42, and I'm going to read specific verses. I'm going to read verse 1, verse 2, and verse 8. Verse 1 says, "Of these things be not thou ashamed, and accept no person to sin thereby." Verse 2 says, "Of the law of the Most High and his covenant, and of judgment to justify the ungodly." And verse 8 says, "Be not ashamed to inform the unwise and foolish, and the extreme aged that contended with those that are young. Thus shalt thou be truly learned and approved of all men living." So sometimes you have to step out of the box. As I've been reading and learning, I have also learned about the New Testament and the way that, because of course, you have to mix a little truth in to make it believable, but a half truth is still a lie. So everything in the New Testament is questionable. So anything I read in the New Testament, I take it back to the law. I filter it through the law. And when you filter it through the law, the only mention of women being silent and not teaching is in the New Testament. It's not mentioned anywhere else in the scripture, which to me is an interesting point. And it makes me wonder, because I know that they're more read than I am, why they push that so heavily. It's a stumbling block to us because we are a team. The first point I want to make in this video is to stop Bible banging. Stop Bible banging. Sitting around using the scriptures to point out people's sins when we're all unworthy. What books are you reading? What books are you reading? Mercy from sin comes from Hashem. You can't dictate it. You can't decide who's worthy of it. You have no idea. And I'm going to go to the Ecclesiasticus and Apocrypha, chapter 35, verses 17 through 20. Because this is where we all stand. He is no respecter of persons. 35, 17 through 20. The prayer of the humble pierceth the clouds, and till it come nigh, he will not be comforted, and will not depart till the Most High shall behold to judge righteously, and execute judgment. For the Most High will not be slack, neither will the mighty be patient toward them, till he have smitten in sunder the loins of the unmerciful, and repaid vengeance to the heathen, till he have taken away the multitude of the proud, and broken the scepter of the unrighteous, till he have rendered to every man according to his deeds, and to the works of men according to their devices, till he have judged the cause of his people, and made them to rejoice in his mercy. Mercy is seasonable in the time of affliction, as clouds of rain in time of drought. I'm going to repeat verse 20. Mercy is seasonable in the time of affliction, as clouds of rain in the time of drought. We're an afflicted people. Our people are mind fucked. I'm going to use that. There's no better way to say it. Our people are mind fucked. And we know it. Those of us who have been blessed enough to see, we know it. How can you take pleasure in beating a man that's already down? And then, even worse so, how can you take pleasure in doing it to one of your own people? We have to think of these things. What books are you reading? Do we not know where we're coming? One of the other things that I could not keep silent on any longer is this whole bashing and demonization of the woman, and not just from people who are asleep, but quote-unquote awake people, quote-unquote conscience people, quote-unquote prophets of the Most High. What books are you reading? Because I've been brought low. These are things that had to happen for me to end up where I am. My path is my path. So I've only been able to purchase 4 books. I have 4 books. And 3 of them, I have 5 books. And 3 of them are questionable. So what books are you reading? What are you reading that is telling you that? What are you reading? We keep bringing up the woman should be silent in the church. The woman shouldn't teach. The woman ain't supposed to say nothing. She's just supposed to obey her man. And all through the Old Testament, you see that's not what the women were doing. They were a helpmeet to their men, yes. But why such extremes? I don't understand that. I don't understand that. And one of the things that makes it more difficult to understand is that compromises are made on the law daily by these men. Because we're all at the mercy and grace and at the weakness of our flesh in these days. Mercy is seasonable in the time of affliction. We all have our afflictions. But that's the one where there's no negotiating, and they will use that to bash a woman to the ground. And where do they do that at? The Most High never condoned that. You don't see that treatment of women anywhere in the books. Anywhere in the books. Women were obedient because their men were worthy of obedience. Things were in order. But when you don't have security in food, clothing, and shelter, how can you relax enough to be obedient? That comes out in early childhood training. If a child is hungry or is going through trauma at home, they are unable to learn because their brain is focused on survival. And that's where we are as a people. Our brains are focused on survival. That goes to my second point that had to come out in this video. Remember the wife of thy covenant. Remember the wife of thy covenant. Remember where you're supposed to be and who you're supposed to be with. What books are you reading? I was reading Malachi, and it's one of those books that will bring tears to your eyes, because it's one of those books where he's pleading with us. The Most High, our Father, is pleading with us. And that's one of my issues with the New Testament, because the New Testament sets you up to wait for quote unquote Jesus or quote unquote Yahweh Shai or quote unquote Yehoshua to come and save you, when everywhere in the Old Testament it says that the Most High is waiting for you. He's waiting on you to turn to him. And you look at all of the idolatry and the leading astray of our people in the Old Testament and in the history of our books, and no one can see that Christ is the final test. Are we still going to put someone else before the Father? Are we still going to put someone else's name before his? When I look at the behavior and the doctrines of these camps, I question every name I've learned, because every camp will justify the sins that they deem justifiable. The pageantry, everyone has something. So it makes me question, what God are you praising? What spirit is on you? It makes me question those names. I've gone to calling him Hashem, the name, because every camp has a different name. In every camp, a lot of them use Yahweh. But their doctrines are so divergent. In a time of confusion and madness, there's more confusion added by the so-called prophets of the Most High. They stir up more confusion than anyone else, because they're corralling those who know who they are and are trying to find the way back, and they're misleading them. Arguing over symbology that the enemy used. If it's a stumbling block to Israel, why can't you just let it go? Why is it that important that you have to have video after video after video justifying these pagan things that have been tied back to the enemy? Vague scriptures that quote unquote validate it. So what? Nowhere does he say wear it. Nowhere does he require you to wear it. So why? I'm going to read Malachi chapter 2, the whole thing. And usually when this chapter is referred to, it's referred to the Christian church. But these camps are Christian churches with fringes, because they're all pushing something that I don't know where they got it from. And now, O ye priests, This commandment is for you. If ye will not hear, if ye will not lay it to heart, to give glory unto my name, his reputation. He has a reputation. Saith the Most High, Lord of hosts, I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yea, I have cursed them already, because you do not lay it to heart. Behold, I will corrupt your seed and spread dung upon your faces, even the dung of your solemn feast, and one shall take you away with it. Behold, I will corrupt your seed. If you look at these camps, they're producing corrupted seeds. They're justifying these marriages by claiming these people are Israel. But if you have any spiritual, you know they're not. So your seed is corrupted. And not only are you doing it, but you're teaching that it's okay. So you're leading others to corrupt their seed too. You're diminishing the Most High's base of operations. You are not providing him with the things you are supposed to be providing him with. A holy seed, a pure seed, an inheritance. What books are you reading? And ye shall know that I have sent this commandment unto you, that my covenant might be with Levi, saith the Lord of hosts. My covenant with him of life and peace, and I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me, and was afraid before my name. The law of truth was in his mouth, and iniquity was not found in his lips. He walked with me in peace and equity, and did turn away many from iniquity. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth, for he is the messenger of the Most High, Lord of hosts. You are the messenger of the Most High. I'm going to get into some of this, of how we ended up here and what our issue is, the main stumbling block for a lot of people at the end of the scriptural part on remembering the wife of thy covenant. I'm at verse 8. But ye are departed out of the way. Ye have caused many to stumble at the law. Ye have corrupted the covenant of Levi, saith the Most High, Lord of hosts. Therefore have I also made you contemptible and base before all the people, according as ye have not kept my ways, but have been partial in the law. Have we not all one Father? Hath not one God created us? Why do we deal treacherously every man against his brother, by profaning the covenant of our fathers? Now I'm going to get to verse 11, because we all, the 5 books that I read, Judah's first, and everyone else follows. So we got to get it together. Verse 11, Judah hath dealt treacherously. Judah had dealt treacherously, and an abomination is committed in Israel and in Jerusalem. For Judah hath profaned the holiness of the Most High, which he loved, and hath married the daughter of a strange god. Judah, what was, is, and what is will be. What was, is, and what is will be. You hear people saying that they're going to build the kingdom of the Most High with heathen woman, and the black woman is worthless and no good, and she can't be taught, and they can't wait to kill her. And that's various doctrine, but a lot of camps have a little bit of that. Of course, I went to the extreme. There's a specific camp that's just waiting to slit our throats. But all the camps say that, like the woman is so wicked, the woman is so this, the woman is so that. We can build the kingdom with these heathen women. Just find one of these mams or half-breeds and marry them, and then you're okay. That's Israel too. For Judah hath profaned the holiness of the Most High, which he loved, and hath married the daughter of a strange God. Verse 12. The Lord will cut off the man that doeth this, the master and the scholar. Who are these people? The master and the scholar, out of the tabernacles of Jacob, and him that offereth an offspring unto the Lord of hosts. And this ye have done again, covering the altar of the Lord with tears, with weeping, and with crying out, insomuch that he regardeth not the offering any more, or receiveth it with good will at your hand. Yet ye say, wherefore? Why? Why? You're setting yourself up. He told you what he was going to do. What books are you reading? Are you that beguiled with Egypt and Babylon? Are you that beguiled that you will compromise the word of the Most High just so you can remain in the comfort of it? So that you can be accepted in the comfort of it? 14. What ye say, yet ye say, wherefore? Because the Most High hath been witness between thee and the wife of thy youth, against whom thou hast dealt treacherously. Yet it is she thy companion and the wife of thy covenant. Yet is she thy companion and the wife of thy covenant. 15. And did not he make one? Did he not make them one? Yet had he the residue of the Spirit. And wherefore one? That he might seek a godly seed. And did he not make one? I'm going to repeat that. Verse 15. And did not he make one? Yet had he the residue of the Spirit. And wherefore one? That he might seek a godly seed. That's a sacred union. You have violated the sanctity of that union. And you pushing us, you making us polar opposites out here through your teaching. Where they do that at? What books are you reading? Where did they do that at? You take 2 verses Therefore take heed to your spirit, and let none deal treacherously against the wife of his youth. For the Most High, the God of Israel, saith that he hateth putting away. For one covereth violence with his garment, saith the Most High Lord of hosts. You covering violence with your garment. You're using your manhood as a weapon against the wife of your youth. Think about it. Therefore take heed to your spirit, that ye deal not treacherously. Ye have wearied the Most High with your words. Yet ye say, wherein have we wearied him? When ye say, every one that doeth evil is good in the sight of the Lord, and he delighteth in them. Or where is the God of judgment? These are things that we know are coming. Things are accelerating, and everyone's going about, and they use these scriptures to talk about the unlearned when they reply to those who understand. They weren't written for those who didn't understand because they don't get it. They were written for those of us who understand. So when it says, as in the days of Noah, they were marrying and getting married, having their Passover feasts and having their parties, having their single people meets, putting on their pageantry, putting on their shows, up to the day of destruction. The scriptures also say, woe to him who hasten the day, because they're hastening the day and they don't know they're hastening their own destruction, because they're following unwise teachers. They say that the day when no man shall have to teach his neighbor is after the Messiah's return. It is now. You don't need a person to teach you. Read it and you will understand it. They're teaching you what they want you to learn. If they tell you that you have to learn by their dictate, they dictate when you're ready to learn. Where in the scripture does it say that? You seek the wise man for counsel. For counsel and understanding. Not to order your steps. The Most High orders your steps. Remember the wife of thy covenant. Everyone wants to teach the truth, but they can't handle the truth. Because you have to humble yourself. That's why it says a humble servant. We know we're all victim to our flesh. If you fell in love with a heathen woman, throw yourself on the mercy of the Most High. Don't use his words to try to justify it and say it's okay. Throw yourself on his mercy. Like we all have to throw ourselves on his mercy. We all have to cry out to him. He's waiting on us. While we're sitting here waiting on this I'm gonna say a creature they made up. So now, here we are. Here we are. What's the next step? Are you ready to move on? Or are you happy staying there? You've plateaued. You've plateaued because you're holding on to the comfort of Egypt. You're holding on. You think you're going to raise the army of the Most High within this system, collecting money to build something in this system. Nothing in this system is going to survive. Nothing. You collecting money from people who don't have money to build up something when you know, if you're reading the books I'm reading, that the dollar is worthless. It's worthless. It's all about to crash. Everyone's going to be left with nothing. You're sowing into this system and you're going to be left with nothing. That's what's going to happen. What books are you reading? People compare this. I've had this song in my mind pretty much since I came into the truth a year and a half ago. And it's just been resonating. I want my daddy's records back. That was the jam. I'm showing my age, I know. But that was the jam. And it's just been resonating in my mind. Because everyone has a plan of what they think we should be doing. And people will compare this to a chess game. A chess game. And the only problem is our pawns are controlled by the opponent. Because everyone knows a chess game. You got the pawns in the front and then you got the back row where all the power is. But our pawns are controlled by the opponent. And they've been moving our pawns around. They've been moving our pawns around. And we're just going to lump the camps. Islam, Christianity, Buddha, all of these into the one pawn religion. Because as you come into the truth, they corral you in the direction they want you to go. And as per Israel's record, you follow blindly. Because you want someone to tell you what to do. You still don't want to just listen to the Most High. You need someone to tell you what to do. So they corral you behind this false Messiah that you're just supposed to sit and wait patiently for. And every time you pray to the Most High, pray in His name. Really? That's the first pawn. The second pawn is these Pan-Africanists, these Egyptologists, which is basically to steer you away from your nationality, to deny you your birthright. Because once you've denounced it, they're going to let you know you don't belong to them and you're going to be sitting in dung like usual. Then we have the political pawns. Oh, what we need to do is we need to pool all our money together to back a candidate. And then we'll have our own lobbyists in Congress. We'll have some money. We'll still have the lowest paid person there, so we're still not going to have any power. So you're going to be left sitting in dung. Woe to them that go to Egypt for help. Now that takes me to the next poem, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter and all these other marches and rallies. For what? Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad. That's irrational. It's irrational. Mad means irrational, not angry. Irrational. That's irrational behavior because they passed laws to so-called protect us after the civil rights marches. The problem is no one enforces them. No one enforces them, and they don't have to, because to the highest court in the land it's not going to be enforced. What books are you reading? I'm going to use another swear word. Fuck Black Lives Matter. And you know, it's some rich white guy that started it. If rich white people want to help black people, I got two goals that we as a people should be focused on. Two goals. But I'm going to finish this last pawn. The last pawn is the reparations pawn. We need reparations. We want the government to give us some money. The dollar is worthless. They're going to give you reparations now because it's going to be meaningless. What books are you reading? They will be open to reparations now because you're not going to get a chance to enjoy them. So that leads me to my gauntlet. I'm going to throw down my gauntlet because there are two movements that are currently or were recently being led by Israelites. Two good movements. I'm not stating that they're bad. They're good movements, but I still say, what books are you reading? The one is The Pope and Dumb Diverses, which anyone who's been watching the videos knows who's that from. I don't want to create any strife or anything, but everyone knows where it came from. But my issue with that is, one, I'm sorry if I offend you, but one, the woman that you justify and to generate Israel for, it's stirring up a lack of trust. I'm sorry, I don't know what experiences you've had, but based on my experiences, no, I don't trust them. I've had my share. I've had best friends. I learned the hard way. I was an accelerated child. I went to University of Chicago. I spent my whole life around them. So I'm sorry. That was one issue that made it hard to rally behind that. The other issue was, fuck the Pope. Who is the Pope? This is not 1452. This is not 1492. Whenever he wrote it, I don't recognize his authority. The time of our punishment has come to an end. We're coming into the part where they fail to show mercy even at the time of our iniquity coming to an end. We are no longer under his jurisdiction. We're no longer under their jurisdiction. We don't need their permission. We don't need their okay. We don't need him to release us. We don't need him to pave the way. He's nobody. And that leads me into this new march that's coming up, because Farrakhan made the truest statement I ever heard him say. He said he is to black people what the Pope is to white people, and that's a false prophet and a liar. Got you following behind a stone. And if you thought he was legit when he started blending in Scientology and the Bible, he's going to appropriate any biblical book and tie it to Allah. Bull crap. What books are you reading? They do not coincide. A half-truth is a lie. A half-truth is a lie. So fuck the Pope. And fuck your reparations. Now, if you want to ask the Pope for something, this is what we want from the Pope. We want our records back. We want any of our records that he got stored in the Vatican, we want them back. That's what we want from the Pope. Other than that, I'm sorry. Screw the Pope. No one cares. No one cares. He's being exposed. He looks like the devil walking. Because the Most High is dealing with him directly. Believe me, every day. He know where he's standing right now. Only conversation with him, can we have our records back? If not, if we can't discuss that, there's nothing to discuss. Don't need his permission. Don't need him to repeal nothing. Don't need them to recognize anything. Because it depending on the books you read, they say they're not going to recognize it until the Most High show them. Then there's the UN movement. If we get recognized as a nation by the UN, then we'll be able to build our little kingdom here in Egypt and Babylon. We'll be able to gain a foothold here and accomplish something. All we need is recognition. What did that do for the Moors? It gave them the right to sell bootleg DVDs and books. Let's get real. Let's get real. If you want to ask the UN for something, if the UN wants to do anything for black people, we want our land back. We know they was all inclusion. They know where our land is. That ties right into we want our records back. We want our land back. And they set the precedent themselves when they implanted them fake Jews on them Palestinians. So they set up a precedent of restoring land to its rightful owner. Just on they say so. So if the UN want to do anything for black people, they could do that. We want our land back. They know we a nation. We don't have to play these games. I'm tired of playing these games. Enough bullshit. Enough bullshit. It's like a movie that I've been sitting in too long. And I already know how it's going to end. And the same plot line keep looping and looping and looping and looping and looping over and over again. And I'm bored. Enough bullshit. We want our records back. We want our land back. Period. That's it. That's all. They want to say how black folks are so useless and all that. Prove it. Prove it. Turn over them records. Give us our land back. Y'all don't want us here. We such a drain on y'all society, y'all perfect society. We're such a drain. Give us our land back. Give us our records back. We'll figure it out. Because we got something. We got a God. We'll figure it out. That's all a white person could do for me. You want to help our movement? Advocate your people to give us our land and our records back. And you don't need me to help you do it. Prove to me how much you really want to help. Do it without me standing beside you. It's not a priority. Don't fall for that crap. Stop falling for that crap. Even Rachel Dolezal. She helped black people. She would have did more to help black people by disposing the hypocrisy of the Christian missionary, their perversion and molestation of kids. As a white woman, pretending to be black didn't do nothing to help black people. Pretending to be black and getting more crumbs off the master's table than the real blacks. I'm not impressed. Enough bullshit. Enough bullshit. They got our pawns, but the chess game is accelerating. When is the back row gonna stand up? We want our land back. We want our records back. We don't want their justice. Fuck their justice. We know what their justice looks like. Y'all ain't had enough of their fucking justice yet. Fuck their justice. No one cares. Fuck their justice. You're not gonna get no justice for them. And woe to them that go to Egypt for help. What books are you reading? You ain't gonna get no help from them. You ain't gonna get nothing but more destruction. Some tear gas, some dogs, some curfews. Fuck they justice. You want the truth, but you can't handle the truth. This ain't your mama's civil rights movement. We ain't marching for nothing. We past that phase. It's too much knowledge coming down. The law is to be a filter for everything coming down. If you filter it through the law. And the places that they stick, you gotta acknowledge them. You can't pretend it ain't sticking. Uphold the law. The places where you fall short, throw yourself on His mercy. He'll decide whether or not it's worthy of forgiveness. He will decide that. This is not the time for us to be judges. There is none righteous enough to judge right now. It just is what it is. If you want to build somebody up and try to help them be better, good, that's great, that's awesome. But you are not righteous enough to be judge and determiner of who is cursed and who is not when you mix and have truths and lies. Enough bullshit, Israel. Enough. I'm going to end this with Psalm 46 as an exhortation to build us up. We want our land back and we want our records back. Period. That's it. That's all. Psalm 46. The Most High is our refuge and strength, a very present help in time of trouble. Therefore will not we fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though the waters thereof roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with the swelling thereof. Selah. There is a river, the streams whereof shall make glad the city of the Most High, the holy place of the tabernacles of the Most High Hashem. The Most High is in the midst of her, she shall not be moved. The Most High shall help her, and that right early. The heathen raged, the kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, the earth melted. The Most High, Lord of hosts, is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. Come, behold the works of the Most High, what desolations he hath made in the earth. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He breaketh the bow, and cutteth the spear in sunder. He burneth the chariot in fire. Be still, and know that I am the Most High. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. The Most High Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. The Most High is our refuge. And I'm going to take it out with my theme song. My new theme song is I Want My Daddy's Records Back. Shalom.